All right. Shabbat Shalom. We're on page 10 or 128. Well, Shabbat Shalom, Hine ma tov u'manayim. Indeed, it is certainly so good to be. I said to Rabbi Weissman, I looked out and there were people here. I haven't been here with people in 2 years.
Welcome back.
So it's good to be back. It's good to be back after a couple of months away for some really incredible sabbatical time to be back on campus to hear birds chirping and bees buzzing in the bushes outside of my office, and our incredible custodial staff hard at work making sure this campus is as beautiful as ever. And it certainly has been a treat to be back in the same office and in the same space as my colleagues, hearing people on the phones and clicking away at keyboard. Just hearing people has really been amazing. So good to be here with all of you as well on this lovely, slightly strangely tinted Friday night as we welcome Shabbat into our midst as a community together, both here in person and online as well. So it is certainly good that we are sitting here together and together as well. We have much to celebrate this Shabbat, certainly. This weekend, of course, the Kirkelli family is celebrating Sophie's bat mitzvah. And so as we begin by bringing a little bit of extra candlelight into our midst with the candle lighting on page 2 or 120, I'll call up Sophie Kirkelli and her family, Liana Kirkelli, Jennifer Kirkelli, Lynn Ross, Lana Kirkelli, Jerry Kirkelli, Bruce Ross, and Fima Felker. On page 2 or 120.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu
ask Sophie and her dad Jerry to stay up, and everybody else can have a seat, or you guys can stay up if you want.
Just stay.
As Sophie leads us in Kiddush on page 5 or 123-ish.
Something like that. Okay.
Hold the cup.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ava uvratzon hinhilanu, zikaron lema'aseh bereshit. Ki hu yom tehillah l'mikraye kodesh, zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim. Ki vanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon hinhaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat.
Amen. L'chaim. Have a sip. No, you're the only one who's going to drink from it. All right? Not a problem. Well done. Well done. Thank you. With inflation on the rise and a run on gold looming, on August 15th, 1971, President Richard Nixon enacted a plan that ended dollar convertibility to gold and implemented wage and price controls, which soon brought an end to the Bretton Woods international monetary system. But also, on that same day, in August 1971, something else occurred. An event that was easier to comprehend, far less contentious, and much less world-shaking, except for the two beautiful individuals who exchanged vows under the chuppah on that Sunday. Our longtime members, Joanne and Art Sobel, were married 50 years ago last weekend, and it is a pleasure to invite them forward to our bimah to offer them a blessing in honor of their 50th wedding anniversary. And although I'm going to open the ark, I invite you to remain seated. How are you? I'm going to have you read something very short. It's great to see you. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, our God and God of our ancestors, bless Joanne and Art on this, the anniversary of their marriage. May you reflect, Joanne and Art, may you reflect with deep gratitude upon the years that have passed. Many and varied have been your experiences since that moment. May you recall the joys that have sweetened your lives. May you be thankful for the strength that allowed you to weather the storms that shook you to your very roots. God, you have been with this couple through all their years together. So may you continue to bless them with your presence in the years to come. And I'm going to ask you to read this paragraph together.
I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. God of all generations, we give thanks for the blessings that have graced our marriage, and we reflect upon the day of our union with thankfulness. May this joy be with us always, our way of life, loving and good, as we help each other bear burdens and share joys. Let there be these years of health and contentment, of unclouded happiness in the circle of our family and loved ones, of unbroken service of love and caring to those who are far and those who are near. Amen.
Yivarechechem Adonai v'yishmorchem. May God bless you and keep you. Yer Adonai panav elechem v'chunechem. May God's light shine upon you, and may God be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elechem v'yasem lechem shalom. And may God's presence be felt by you, and may God give you that great gift, the gift of peace. And we want to sing together the wonderful song, Siman Tov U'Mazel.
Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov.
Sing together Lechado D, page 20 or 138.
Lechado D, Likrakala, Erev Shabbat Nekabela. Lechado D, Likrakala, Erev Shabbat Nekabela. Shamor Zachor, B'diborecha Tishmi'anu. Adonai Echad, U'Shemo Echad, V'Shemo Tiferet, Ve'Tfilah,
call to prayer. Baruch Hu, page 28. This is an hour of change. Within it, we stand uncertain on the border of light. Shall we draw back or cross over? Where shall our hearts turn? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? This is the hour of change, and within it, we stand quietly on the border of light. What lies before us? Shall we draw back, my brother, my sister, or cross over? Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Page 32. seated. Next week, Max Wasserstein will become bar mitzvah, and it's a privilege to invite him forward now to lead us in the Via Havta, which is on page 36 or 154.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל
בכל
לבבך
לבבך,
ובכל
בכל
נפשך
נפשך,
ובכל מאודך.
והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם מאוד על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Continue now on page 40 or 158. Our song of freedom that is also a reminder that freedom and liberation is always possible somewhere out there on the horizon.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש. נורא תהילו, עושה פלא, נורא תהילו, עושה פלא, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקי הים לפני משה ומרים. זה אליהו ואמרו, זה אליהו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. Gai lai 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 lai. Gai lai 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 lai. Gai lai 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 lai. Gai lai 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 lai. Nora
חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גל ישראל.
As we turn to the Amidah, our standing prayer on page 46 or 164. I'll invite you to lift yourself up spiritually, physically, in whatever way you'd like as we begin this opening meditation together, and then we'll have some time for our own private prayer through page, through the end of the Amidah. I forgot where it was. It's one.
No, you've been away.
Page
You've been away.
63 or 180,
Yeah.
62, 63 or 180, 181. You'll notice that between the opening meditation and the closing meditation, there are exactly 7 prayers that we offer. All words of praise, not asking God for anything, because God's resting on Shabbat too, just like we ought to rest as well. So we'll begin together, page 46.
Ya la 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 la, 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 ya la 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 la, ya 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 la 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 la, Adonai tziftai tiftach ufi agi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Yalalai, lai, lai, 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 yalalai, lai,
Page 48 or 166.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Vekonei Hakol, Vezocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Umevi Geulah livnei b'neihem, Leman Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah.
Page 50.
Atah gibor leolam Adonai, mechayei hakol atah, Rav lehoshia, morid hatal, mechalkel chaim bechesed, mechayei hakol berachamim rabim, somech noflim verofech olim, umatir asurim, umekayem emunato, lishenei afar, michamocha bal gevurot, umidomelach, melech memit umechayeh, umatzmeach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah lahachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, mechayeh hakol.
Page 52.
Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh. page 62 or 180.
Yehiyu l'ratzon imrefi legion libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri Adonai tzuri Adonai tzuri Imrefi, Legion, Libi lefanecha. Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, Adonai tzuri, Legoali. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable, be acceptable. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you. Yehiyu l'ratzon imrefi legion libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri Adonai tzuri Adonai tzuri
Continue on page 253 or 371. We offer our prayer for healing, prayer for strength, prayer in its original form that talks a lot about the idea of mercy and compassion as well. That those who are ill or in need of healing feel from us compassion and love, and that we can also be sources for them of strength and agents of healing in this world. This week in particular, we're thinking of David Ben-Ami, Jerry Bloom, Lorraine Denenberg, Mason Easley, Carol Emmerich, Rudy Andrizi, Bob Frankel, Arlene Gilliland, Rick Gross, Leah Howlett-Corrido, Dorothy Huppert, Moritz Huppert, Marvin Jones, Joan B. Carlin, Bernice Kretschmar, Wendy Levine, Dana Marks, Eileen Peaks, David Baruch Ben Simona, and Donna Spanger. Of course, we invite you to add those who you're thinking of to this list as well. Feel free to call them out in the open. Page 253.
May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishevera imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of
time to get some ladies up here. I'd like to invite up members of the Beth Am Women Board, and some of them, many of them are here tonight, and some are watching from home. But I want to name them all for you. Rita Allen, Julie Brenner, Dana Doctorow, Joanne Donsky, Sylvia Gitlin, Sandy Hirsch, Felisa Eiley, Susan Kramer, Alita Longwell, Leslie Mervite, Julie Roston, Diane Stadlin, Lisa Steinbach, Vicki Streeter, and Barb Wyndham. You get to put the face to the name. That's your challenge. Hi, friends. On Friday nights, it's traditional for a husband to sing the praises of his wife with the words of Eshet Chayil, a passage from the book of Proverbs. It begins, Eshet Chayil mi yimtza, a woman of valor who can find. And it goes on to describe a woman of uncommon worth, a woman who is hardworking and generous, cheerful and hopeful, smart and resourceful. When we at Beth Am are asked, a woman of valor, who can find? We answer, we can. We've got lots of them. Here are just a few. So tonight we honor these women of valor who are beginning their term as board members of Beth Am Women. We thank you for your commitment to this community, and we offer you our blessing. Mishaberach avotenu v'imotenu. May the one who blessed our mothers and fathers before us bless you, the Beth Am Women Board, as you begin your term of service. May you find fulfillment, friendship, and fun through your work together. And may your work strengthen this congregation, bringing us ever closer to our mission, to do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with our God. We give thanks to the Holy One for bringing us to this day. So will you join me, please, in the words of Shehechianu? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Thank you all so much. So as our board is making their way down, I'll introduce our speakers tonight, both from Beth Am Women. I'd like to invite Joanne Donsky and Jennifer Frankel to share their words of Torah.
Shabbat Shalom. This week's Torah portion includes several passages commanding us to help those in need and to remember that God has helped us to get where we are, that we didn't get here simply by our own efforts, and that it's a mitzvah to help others. Here are the passages. You shall not abuse a needy and destitute laborer, whether a fellow countryman or stranger. You shall not subvert the rights of the stranger or the fatherless. When you reap the harvest in your fields and overlook a sheaf, do not turn back to get it. It shall go to the stranger, the fatherless, and the widow. Remember that you were a slave in Egypt, and that the Lord your God redeemed you from there. I'm Joanne Donsky. Jennifer Frankel and I are speaking this evening on behalf of Beth Am Women. In keeping with this week's Torah portion, we're excited to tell you about Learning Home Volunteers, a wonderful program that Beth Am Women is engaged in to help very young children in low-income families. In fact, Learning Home Volunteers is emblematic of the wonderful things that Beth Am Women does, introducing women to and offering ways of becoming involved in important tzedakah activities in the community that make a real difference in people's lives. I remember being on a plane a number of years ago and reading a really disturbing article about the vast difference between the number of words that low-income and high-income young children have when they enter kindergarten. I and the really negative impact that that has on them as they grow up, as they go through school and grow up. What I didn't know then was that lower income children start kindergarten 18 months or more behind their higher income peers. And that difference, it's really hard for them to catch up. And so the difference sometimes gets bigger and bigger as they go through school. And what I thought about was, and what really bothered me, was to think of how hard it must be for these little children to get further and further behind. How discouraged they must feel, and what a difference it makes in their lives as they go through school, and as unfortunately many of them drop out of school. Around that time, Beth Am had embarked upon an exciting effort to give lower income children an equal start as they entered kindergarten. It was through Beth Am's Equal Start initiative that I learned about Learning Home Volunteers, and I've been involved with it since shortly before the program began. Equal Start, others at Beth Am and I have spread the word about Learning Home Volunteers, and now there are a number of Beth Am women who are volunteering at Learning Home Volunteers, as well as other members of Beth Am. And we are as delighted, and I think we're all really delighted with what we've done at Learning Home Volunteers and with what Learning Home Volunteers has done. I have been so impressed with Learning Home Volunteers. Their goal is to empower, equip, and connect low-income families so that they can prepare their children to enter kindergarten at the same level as higher-income children. I started volunteering with Learning Home Volunteers before COVID hit. At that point, the plan was to train parents and volunteers as a team to work with the children and to teach them and get them ready for school. I love the idea of empowering parents to teach the children. As a new mother, I hadn't completely understood the value of reading to and playing with an infant and toddler. I was surprised when a good friend, who was a PhD in infant development, wanted to give a toy and book shower for my infant son. I wondered, what on earth is a little baby boy going to be doing with books and toys? But I learned through this friend that babies and very young children learn so much from our reading and playing with them and talking to them all the time we're doing it. So it wasn't surprising to me that lower income parents who are so busy with some with multiple jobs and with many children were likely not to be aware of the importance of their role in teaching their young children. And certainly, they didn't have the resources that I had to have a lot of books and toys around the house for my son. So one of the things that I loved about Learning Home Volunteers, that they plan to empower parents to teach their children by playing and reading with them. They would train parents and volunteers to work as a team in preparing their children for the young children for kindergarten. I was paired with a family. The mom and I both went through training. We watched the videos that Learning Home Volunteers had prepared, really great videos. And then we came together with the executive director and a number of other moms and volunteers to go through a training session where we practiced new skills. We learned how to engage very young children in learning through open-ended play. I started going to the family's home once a week. First, I would stop by the Learning Home Volunteers office and I would choose all these toys and games that I thought the little girl would enjoy. And I would take them out to the home. And then we all, Mom and I call her my little girl, and I had lots of fun building with paper cups that had numbers and letters on them. And she would identify the letters and numbers on the cups. She'd play with the doctor's bag. She loved the puzzles. And it was amazing to see how she engaged in play and how excited she was to learn not even realizing that she was learning. But then COVID hit, and that was a real problem, I thought. I didn't quite see how Learning Home Volunteers was going to continue. It wasn't safe to be going into other people's homes, but it did continue, and it became even stronger. Learning Home Volunteers' creative leadership pivoted quickly and created what turned out to be an even more exciting program. Learning Home Volunteers knew that the parents were the best teachers for their children, so they figured out how to make it easy to empower and equip the parents to take charge of playing with and teaching the children. They decided to create boxes of activities, full of activities, developed around a theme, and with 3 books that children aged 2 to 5 would enjoy. These boxes were then created by volunteers and delivered to each child's home every 2 weeks. The parents had already been trained, so they were ready to go. And I'm going to turn it over now to Jennifer, who's been involved since this time and who's been working on developing the activities.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I'm Jennifer Frankel, and I've had the privilege of raising 3 children here in the Bethlehem community. The Jewish community takes pride in our education and the education of our children. As a parent, I spent many hours reading, writing, doing art, taking my children to museums, to the zoo, and sharing my absolute love of books. After all, we're the people of the book, and here we can share this love of books and reading with our children. Unfortunately, it is very clear that not all children share in the wealth of educational resources that our children enjoy. The U.S. Department of Education research finds that 2/3 of low-income houses have no books for their children. And you would think, in light of that, their access to libraries and libraries in their schools and the community would be higher because we need these children to have books, but instead, their access to books is even lower. There are fewer libraries and fewer books in those libraries in poorer communities. These kinds of differences in access have lifelong impacts on the literacy, success in school, and ultimately access to jobs that these children can enjoy. Programs put on by Bethlehem's Equal Start and Racial Justice and Equity Committees, as well as my personal drive to put my actions behind my beliefs, led me to contact Learning Home Volunteers. As a matter of fact, the first person I spoke to was Joanne. Since I started volunteering during COVID, I have focused most of my efforts on the equip part of the Learning Home Volunteers program. Given my love of books, I was promptly given the job of librarian, sorting the many donated books so that Learning Home Volunteers can find the appropriate books to put in every child's box. In addition, I've helped plan and gather materials for the Learning Home Volunteer families. When families first join Learning Home Volunteers, they're given a teacher's kit. The teacher's kit provides materials like crayons, papers, scissors, and glue, the kinds of materials that make the simplest learning activities possible, and that you probably find in every drawer in every household here, but most of these families don't have. Then, as Joanne discussed, Learning Home Volunteers picks a theme with an appeal to 2 to 5-year-olds every 2 weeks. Themes like farm, ocean, trains, pirates, and chooses books, songs, and activities that the children can do around that theme. In addition to working with the theme, Learning Home Volunteers make sure that the activities support kindergarten readiness, so every lesson includes materials that help children learn their letters and numbers, colors and shapes, kindergarten readiness social skills like sharing and taking turns. They help build fine motor skills, and most importantly, they spark a lifelong love of learning. Volunteers like me then make and package those learning materials, keeping in mind that the materials each month must be very low cost to ensure that the program makes the most efficient use of limited resources. Some examples of materials have included cardboard boxes and stickers to make your own city or your own machine, dinosaur play sets with cardboard to make background diorama settings, manipulatives with numbers and letters like cards, cups, stamps, beads, you name it, ingredients for homemade Play-Doh or slime. In addition to the standard set of material, every child's box includes extras focused on that child's interest, books that they can keep, storyboards, games, puzzles. At the end of 3 years in the program, each family is expected to have close to 100 books in their home. On top of the equip part, Learning Home Volunteers uses ClassTag, a free web-based parent-teacher communication website app, to help with the connect part, even over COVID, or something that wasn't even available before COVID and that was put together during COVID and has really allowed these families to meet each other online and to share the activities. The Learning Home Volunteers post a description of the activities, how to use them, the books read aloud in English, Spanish translations, and other relevant materials. And then the parents engage in the activities with their children. They film it, they post it, and they share with each other the cool things that they thought of that you can do with the kit. Despite all the retired preschool teachers that participate in this program, and designing these materials, their proudest moment is when the families post activities that they never dreamt of would be done with these kits and share it with each other, these new and wonderful things that the children have thought of to do with all of these materials. Another element of community building includes Bethlehem woman volunteer Barbara Pearson, who biweekly leads a circle time for families on Zoom with songs, stories, and games. The Learning Home Volunteers is a great opportunity for including your whole family in social justice activities. My mostly grown children and my 86-year-old mother have helped me put materials together. My mother was so delighted to have a chance to help children, even when she was stuck in the house with COVID restrictions. As you've heard from our talk, Learning Home Volunteers depends on a strong volunteer community, and its needs are expanding rapidly as Learning Home Volunteer extends its reach to more families. In addition, when Learning Home Volunteers is able to put volunteers back in homes, they want to start a new program called Tell Me a Story to support English language learning. Many of the families in this program do not speak English as a first language. English language skills are key to their children's kindergarten readiness. And so Learning Home Volunteers is putting together a brand new curriculum for volunteers to use to support English language acquisition during biweekly visits with Learning Home Volunteers families. Volunteers will bring a kit full of songs, books, and activities designed specifically to support English language learning. This will be a great opportunity for volunteers who love personal interaction. Now I'll invite Joanne to finish by telling us about a Bethlehem Women event to learn more about Learning Home Volunteers.
So next Tuesday evening, Learning Home Volunteers is the organization that's going to be featured at Bethlehem Women's annual Celebrate in the Garden. Celebrate in the Garden is one of our favorite events. It's a time that we can get together, and especially appreciated now that we haven't been able to get together. It's going to be outside on the patio over there, and will be well spaced. I want to invite all women to come to this event. Vicki Schumacher, the founder and CEO of Learning Home Volunteers, as well as a parent, will be speaking about how her family has been impacted by this wonderful program. Celebrate in the Garden is a great time to learn about this program and to get to see friends that you haven't seen in a while. It's going to be next Tuesday from 6 to 8. We'll have a little dinner too, a little one. And you can, but if you do want to come, I urge you to register by Sunday, day after tomorrow, because that's the deadline for registration. We also hope that you'll join Bethlehem and Bethlehem Women in putting your time and talents to work in support of Learning Home Volunteers, or one of our many other social justice initiatives. Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom.
We'll turn now to the words of Aleinu L'Shabeach on page 282 or 586. If you're able, please rise. Aleinu L'Shabeach L'Adon HaKol, Lateit Gedula L'Yotzer Bereshit, Shelo Asanu Kegoye Haratzot, V'lo Samanu Kemishpechot Ha'adama, Shelo Sam Chelkeinu Kahem, V'gor Aleinu Kechol Hamonam, V'anachnu Korim Umishtachavim Umodim Lifnei Melech Malchei Hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Page 287. V'nemar V'haya Adonai L'melech al kol haaretz Bayom hahu Yeh Adonai echad U'shemo You can be seated. We prepare for the prayer of memory. Let's turn to page 289 or 593. The light of life is a finite flame. Like the Shabbat candles, life is kindled, it burns, it glows, it is radiant with warmth and beauty. But soon it fades, its substance is consumed, and it is no more. In light we see, in light we are seen. The flames dance and our lives are full. But as night follows day, the candle of our life burns down in gutters. There is an end to the flames. We see no more and are no more seen. Yet we do not despair, for we are more than a memory slowly fading into the darkness. With our lives, we give life. Something of us can never die. We move in the eternal cycle of darkness and death, of light and life. As I say the name of your loved one, if you'd like to rise in their honor, please do. We are observing Shloshim, the first 30 days of mourning, for Barry Plotkin, Mika Seiss, Lawrence Reback, Naomi Solomon, Alvin Platt, and Gerald Yaffe. And we're observing the yahrzeit, the anniversary of death this week, of Chet Adelberg, Marjorie Baker, Elizabeth Carly Bell Levinson, Hilda Berggren, Renee Bine Jr., Audrey Block, Gilbert Block, Ruth Bloomfield, Stefan Bloomfield, Saul Brown, Lily Budak, Maida Weinstein Cooper, Lynn Eig, Seidel Eisenberg, Alan Eisner, Harold B. Elsom, Bernice Epstein, Diane Falcioni, Lorraine Simmons Fields, Riva Frauman, Joseph Fried, Doris Fromm, Fania Geller, Rabbi Joseph Gittin, Eleanor Goldberg, Solomon Gross, Dorothy Grossman, Louis Hendel, Celia Feldman Halpern, Philip Harris, Rachel Harris, Alvin Holland, Norman Horowitz, Albert Eichel, Bernard M. Janklow, Gladys Kahanovitz, Jesse Kanarek, Andrea Carlin, Julie Kaufman, Fred Kleiman, Benny Cohn, Sophia Korzunskaya, Karen Kosaka, Judith Kramer, Herbert Kunis, Harriet Levin, Sonny Lewanag, Elizabeth Jill Longwell, Norman Marcus, Margot Marmer Moskowitz, Sonia Goldstein Mailer, Pearl Meisner, Sarah Middleman, Rosalind Nesson, Dorothy Peterson, Norman Price, Virginia M. Rector, Sidney Resnick, Tilly Rich, Eddie Rich, Edward Reiger, Samuel Rockower, Abram Rosenzweig, Mary Ruvilo, Pauline Rothman Schwartz, Raylene Serrano, Felix Shapiro, Louis Sonny Sherman, Joseph Silton, Benjamin Singer, Joel Spirins, Raymond Spitalnik, Otto Spoler, Max Stevens, Beatrice Stone, Steve Sugarman, Jacqueline Tucker, Ilya Vichis, Irving Whitman, Hannah Williams, and Sheldon Wolf. If there's someone else that you're remembering tonight, please rise and share their names with us aloud. May their memories be a blessing. We'll turn to the words of Kaddish on page 294 or 598. Please rise. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach yibrute v'yamlich malchute, v'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shemei rabbah mevarach leolam alalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnatseh v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudsha barichu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiram be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shalama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav Hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael.
I want to remind you about our tzedakah box, which is in the back, I believe. Is it there? Should be. Excellent. Thank you, Greg. This month we are collecting for Keren B'Kavod, which is an Israeli organization, the Center for Social and Communal Activity of the Israeli Reform Movement. It assists populations in distress, including new immigrants, Bedouins, the elderly, and disadvantaged, with an emphasis on social empowerment. You can read more about it on our website. You can also donate on our website, or you can put some money in the box, or you can send a check to the office. What else are we doing tonight? Is there a holiday coming up?
No.
No.
I think yeah.
No? Just every day?
Oh, but Sunday. If you're around on Sunday at 6 o'clock, Klezmore Square, our wonderful in-house klezmer band. Because what synagogue doesn't need an in-house klezmer band?
It's true. The house
Klezmore Square
band.
is playing Sunday at 6 o'clock right here. Bring something to sit on. Picnic
Thank
blanket,
you.
chair.
Oh, are we going to do that first? All right.
We're going to sing that first.
All right. Well, we'll close our service and then we'll blow the shofar. I was just so excited. I skipped ahead. Let's pray for peace. Od yavo shalom aleinu.
Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, shalom. Salam aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, shalom. shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Od yavo shalom aleinu. Ve'al kulam.
Tekiah.
Shkoach.
Sounds good with the reverb up here. Do we have
All
a
right.
challah?
We have a challah.
Excellent.
Sing loudly so it reaches the challah, not too loudly. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Shabbat
shalom. Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
shalom. Thanks to the band, Fred, Ken, and Barry.
La 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 la.